How do you tell the difference between a critic and an enemy up front?
Oh, you can tell it immediately. And we all do in our personal lives. If somebody said to you as an individual at a party, say, said that you just had no redeeming features at all, you know, didn't like your look, didn't like your clothes, didn't like your family, didn't like your friends, didn't like where you lived, didn't like your neighborhood, didn't like your neighbors, went on and on and on like this, would you at any stage think, I must listen to this interesting person? Or would you think, what a you-know-what? What a nasty piece of work. How can I get away from the situation as soon as possible and make sure I never, ever encounter this person again? We would do that in our lives, so why can't we do it as a nation? Why can't we recognize that when people say there's nothing good about America, they're not a critic who wants to improve you? When they say pull down capitalism, let's decolonize everything, all those other things that people have come up with now to try to intimidate Americans, why don't you realize if these people like nothing about your past, nothing about your present, and have a future vision for your country, which is a nightmare, that you should treat them like the person who says to you as a person you have nothing good about yourself. Ignore them. Move on. Find something better to do. Find better friends. Find better critics. Find better people to listen to.
How do you do that?
Everyone can do it in their own lives. My experience is that people shouldn't expect the cavalry to come to save them. I think the discovery of middle age, apart from anything else, is that the cavalry is you.
The cavalry is you. That is true.
It's at first it's a hilarious thought. Secondly, it's a slightly depressing thought. Thirdly, it's a worrying thought. But nevertheless, it's the case. You are the people who get us out of this. No one else does it for you.
So in practical terms, that would mean if you have children in a school whose curriculum has changed dramatically since the death of George Floyd, and you find your kids being subjected to this, you stand up and say no.
Yes, and also have confidence, intellectual confidence, moral confidence, to say no. We knew until yesterday this wasn't the case. The death of George Floyd doesn't demand a rewrite of American history. It doesn't demand that there should be a rewrite of American education. It does not make America the country which its detractors and defamers, principally from within America, now pretend it is. They have no right to do this. They have no right to make Americans forget their own history or rewrite their own history or lie about their history. They have no right to make Americans feel disdain for their ancestors. They have no right to do all of these things. And I think that the American public, and everyone in their individual way, can say, no, I know something that we all knew until yesterday, and I will not be made to forget it. That can be rejecting racism even when it comes under the guise of anti-racism, or it can come in just saying no when it comes into your own life. When stupid people tell everyone else to educate themselves, when the least educated people in your society lecture the most educated and tell you to be smarter, have some confidence. Say, no, I'm not listening to this. I don't need to. I don't need to be talked down to in these terms. I'm not a bad person. I'm not a bad person because of my skin color, and I don't think anyone else is either. People just need to have a bit more moral confidence in America. Where did it all go? When did you lose it?
I think this every day. What do you think the answer is?
Oh, I think that America, for a generation or more, has had an elite that doesn't like the country, doesn't feel that you're very good. That's not unusual. I'm from a continent where there have been an awful lot of people who've taken that view. It's very hard for a society to do well if most of the people in a position of power and authority basically distrust the public. But the saving grace of it is the public, is the people who hold on to truths that their elites disdain, who remember things that people in power have forgotten, who hold on to truths. That has seen this country through in the past. I think it can see it through again. But you need not to be bullied. You need not to be bullied by people who pretend to know more, and who almost never do. Not be bullied by people who say, well, I've got an MA in genderqueer theory, and so I know about this. Have the confidence to turn around and say with all due respect, I don't think that means you know anything. If somebody says, well, I've studied racial, biracial politics at several liberal arts colleges, and I've made myself completely unemployable, then don't say, gosh, please tell me more about how I should live my life. Just have the confidence to know that you're a good country that's been a force for good in the world. You've made mistakes, as all countries and societies have, but so what? Who's doing the judging here exactly? You have to work out the difference between people who are critics and people who are enemies. A critic, a real critic, wants you to improve. An enemy wants you gone. And you in America seem to have lost the ability to differentiate between these two things. If somebody says they want to pull the whole thing down, don't listen to them. If somebody says they would like you to slightly improve, then it might be that they've got a point. But if they want to pull down the whole damn thing, get them out of your way as fast as you can.
Once again, folks, fascinating interview with Douglas Murray. Those pearls that he's dropping. And this is another thing. I tell my kids this all the time. I live in a community here. Your neighbors, people that you have dinner with, friends and whatever, the majority, they're all very, very liberal. And I'm the conservative of the group. And I just tell my kids, I tell my wife this, I tell everybody, I don't give a flying effing crap. I don't give a damn about what other people think of me. I don't care what they think of my views. I don't give a damn if they think that I'm, that I'm a conservative. They think that why am I? They want me to be part of the oppressive Olympics. They're saying, oh, you got brown skin. I got brown skin over here, folks. This is pretty white. I got other areas of my skin of my body that are pretty white, that if I showed you on YouTube right now, I probably could get in trouble for. Parts that aren't as tan as this. I love my tan. I love it. I'll be brown here. I'll be white here. I mean, they say, oh, your color dictates that you should be a Democrat, a liberal, a leftist. I said, what the effing guys are you guys talking about? I'm a conservative through and through, a Reagan conservative, a Trump conservative, which is basically a cross between being a Trumpian and a pragmatic conservative. Trump pragservative. That always gets them, folks. That always gets my friends. But we gotta stand up and say, you know what? I don't believe in this. I don't like what you're telling me. I think what you're telling me is all BS. It's all garbage. And I really could care less. I mean, you listen nicely or whatever, but then you confidently basically tell them and say, look, that's fine. That's your opinion. You have a right to your opinion. I have a right to mine. I just don't think that what you're basically saying is going to help, the situation at all. It didn't move me in the least. Your arguments didn't do anything to move me. Because they're all leftist arguments, they're all liberal arguments. All you want to do is tear down, as Douglas basically said there. A true critic, absolutely. You want to what? Criticize someone? A teacher who criticizes a student for just the fact to criticize that student, put him down, is not a teacher. But a teacher who criticizes a student to make him better, to make him to excel beyond what he thinks he can do, that's a true teacher. What do you think these people are in sports, these coaches? They're coaching them to be what? To knock them down? No, to build them up and go beyond their capacity. That you can do it. I know you can do it. And we should use the same thing in our politics. Teach our children the same things. What it means to be a conservative. what it means to be principled, what it means to be honest, what it means to hold on to your ideals, what it means to have a good discourse, a good discussion, a good debate. But at the same time, realizing that the position that you hold, those should be positions that you hold passionately. Don't take off a reading, get a piece of paper and read off and say, I believe this. I believe that. Yeah, I believe this, and this. No, they should be right here inside your heart. You should be able to portray it right out there. And not be bullied by the leftists and the liberals and the progressives, and not be scared of them dropping the racist card, the bigot card, insurrectionist card, phobic card, ism card, whatever the card they're going to drop out there. No. Confidently and state that this is the greatest country that was ever built in the history of the freaking world, and hopefully will continue to be that way. That's what you need to tell people. And if they don't like it, tough. That's your principled approach. That's what you want to say. Has this country, as others, has it had its dark moments, its downsides? Of course. But all in all, if it wasn't for this country, we'd all be speaking Japanese or German, folks. Anyways, folks, that's what we have to bring to you today. We're going to bring you more of the Tucker Carlson interview with Douglas Murray. You're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nasir, where I give you my political prescription from my political perspective on what happens when Douglas Murray, Tucker Carlson, social media, religion, culture, alphabet networks, everything all collide. Let's get back to the interview right now.
How do you tell the difference between a critic and an enemy up front?
Oh, you can tell it immediately. And we all do in our personal lives. If somebody said to you as an individual at a party, said that you just had no redeeming features at all, didn't like your look, didn't like your clothes, didn't like your family, didn't like your friends, didn't like where you lived, didn't like your neighborhood, didn't like your neighbors, went on and on and on like this, would you at any stage think, I must listen to this interesting person? Or would you think, what a nice piece of work. How can I get away from the situation as soon as possible and make sure I never, ever encounter this person again? We would do that in our lives, so why can't we do it as a nation? Why can't we recognize that when people say there's nothing good about America, they're not a critic who wants to improve you? When they say pull down capitalism, let's decolonize everything, all those other things that people have come up with now to try to intimidate Americans. Why don't you realize if these people like nothing about your past, nothing about your present, and have a future vision for your country, which is a nightmare, that you should treat them like the person who says to you as a person you have nothing good about yourself. Ignore them. Move on. Find something better to do. Find better friends. Find better critics. Find better people to listen to.
And say it out loud.
Oh, yeah. Don't keep it to yourself. There's so many bad things happen simply because people are intimidated. I don't think we need to be intimidated. I don't think Americans need to be intimidated. They don't need to be intimidated by these race hucksters and these oppression mongers and these elites of anti-elitists and much more. The American people don't need to be intimidated by this. The American people have been proud. They have got a lot to be proud of. They've done an immense amount of good in the world, historically and now. The #1 country in the world in economic terms. And among other things, you should simply turn around and say to people, who do you want to be the top dog, by the way? I mean, that's a question I've often asked in my career. If you don't like the American hegemony, to use one of their favorite watchwords, what's the one that you'd like most? I mean, let's say, would it be better if it was the French hegemony? I mean, it's not likely, but let's take one that's quite likely. Would you prefer the Chinese order in the world? You who go on and on about human rights, would you like it if the country that was most important and strong in the world was the Chinese? What do you think they would say when you came at them with your rights? I can tell you what they'd say. They'd say, how interesting. So don't make out as if this is the worst situation. Don't make out as if the American situation with America being the most powerful society in the world is the worst situation imaginable. Just work out what any of the other options would be and have some humility about that. And not just humility, but gratitude. I mean, I say this quite a lot, but where did gratitude go in the last generation? Oh, society isn't exactly what I wanted. I don't get to do everything I want. Everything isn't always offered to me. By the way, that, of course, to go back to the thing with Amanda Gorman, that's an impossible to play game, because you could have been given so much in your life and you can still play the resentment game if you've been brought up to believe that resentment's the most important factor in our lives. But how about gratitude? How about the amazing, amazing fact that we live in a society which basically has law and order? I mean, we have a court system, there's a justice system. The police may get things wrong, but they're not institutionally corrupt. They don't go and just shake down people at their houses every day. I've been to plenty of countries in my life where that is the case, where to get the most basic thing you have to bribe a public official. America doesn't have that. That's pretty good just to start with. People care when you talk about rights being infringed. That's pretty good just to start with. I've been to plenty of countries in the world where you could talk about your rights being infringed, your life being taken away. Nobody would give a damn. That's a pretty good place to start with America. There's a lot to feel grateful for in this society, even before you get on to material wealth. So where's the damn gratitude? Where did that disappear?
Are we the victims of our own affluence, do you think?
No, it's not just affluence. You can be affluent and not have these views that now run rife in America. There's a form of moral obesity in society. People have become, they just imbibe.
You know, folks, here in the United States of America, we have lost the attitude of gratitude, just like Douglas Murray was talking about. Where is the gratitude? Where is it? Where has it gone to? And like he was talking about, those are the kind of people that you would put in your life, the people that have ingratitude towards you, your lifestyle, your family, your friends, your community. Is that who you would want to get advice from? Is that who you want to be around? Everybody knocking you down, knocking everything about your life down. Now they're doing it to the country that you live in without any way of saying that, listen, here's some things that I think we need to improve upon. But overall, it's a great country, always has been, always was, always will be into the future. That's a kind of person you could probably take a listen to and say, okay, all right, well, let's see about this. And then the question is absolutely, I've said this so many times, if you don't like it here, don't let the door hit you on the ASS on the way out. What other country would you like to live in? You want to go to the Nordic countries? Be my guest. Be my freaking guest. Go. Go. You want to go to Africa? Go to Africa. You want to go to the Middle East? Go to the Middle East. And then see what happens over there. Who would you rather have be the top dog? Japan? China? Just like he said there. Oh, Mr. Xi Jinping, I don't like the way that you're doing things. Next thing you know is, okay, you're locked up. What'd I say? Oh, you asked the wrong question, buddy. See, when you ask that question in America, everybody calls you to be on MSLSD or NBC or ABC or CBS or any of the other alphabet networks. Where are my human rights? You got a platform. You know what your platform is when you ask where your human rights are? You're in a concentration camp up with the Uyghurs, the Muslim Uyghurs. You're in a concentration, you're in a jail cell somewhere in Beijing or out in the gulag somewhere. That's what happens when you ask these questions. I don't like the president. I don't like President Xi Jinping. Oh, hey, what happened to your friend that asked that question about President Xi Jinping? I don't see him anymore. He's been gone for a few days, a few weeks, a few months. Do you know what happened to him? Here you can say anything that you want, lie about, make slander, libel, whatever, about a president of the United States. Nothing happens. You get the accolades, you get the applause. You get the moolah, you get the money. All these race baiters, race haters, race traders, these race hucksters, these immoral people trading on the morality of this country. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. Stick up for yourself. Have that attitude of gratitude. America's the best. Always was, always will be, and is right now. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already, we'd love for you to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow us if you like our content. Check out our other videos here and below. My final thought as always, man, when you're right, you're right. And this country, America, is so right, is so great. And when you're left, well, if you want, you perfectly leave because you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.